the good thing about self-storage is like the add value is so quick. So literally that first deal we bought was a 5 cap, and 6 months later it was a 12 cap.
Awesome, Alex. Awesome to meet you. I'm sitting here with Alex Quezada. We just met here. Actually, Pace Morby introduced you to me, and I say this all the time, but Pace introduces me to the coolest people. And whenever Pace says, Jerry, you got to know this guy, you got to hear his story or do some content with him, I'm like, okay, if Pace says to do it, I'm going to do it, because he won't say that unless he thinks you're a super cool guy. So thanks, Alex, for taking this time. And you're doing a unique strategy that I'm really excited to talk about. We've never talked about it here on the channel. As you know, Alex, a lot of the viewers here are wholesalers and flippers, and many of them are like trying to figure out what's my niche, what do I want to specialize in. And most people think, I did for the longest time, that, it's all in single family. Like that's where it's at. And I've, obviously since learned over years that there are so many different subcategories of real estate, and many of these are really overlooked by people and can be amazing opportunities. Yeah. Like mobile homes or vacant land, things like that most people don't think about. You've done self-storage. Yep. Now you wholesale quite a bit. You've got an amazing wholesale business. You told me off camera that you're doing, multifamily and Airbnb and holding some single families, yep. Doing a lot of creative financing. So you've now built out a business where you're expanding in these other areas. But first of all, thank you. And let's talk about self-storage.
Let's do it. I got self-storage from one of my mentees. I was already in mobile home parks and apartment buildings. And so he just asked me, like, how can I be involved in deals with you? So we educated ourselves first on self-storage and what it took and how to underwrite deals and look at deals. And we just started taking action right away. So we just started marketing right away. And literally with our first marketing campaign, we were able to get our first deal. And it was right in the middle of COVID, June 2020, we negotiated seller finance deal, like 88% seller financing.
So cool, yeah.
It was the best. 2% interest only.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We gave like 3 options to the seller, like, hey, these are the 3 things we could do. And he took the one that I thought was the best for us. So I always say never assume like what somebody's, what they're gonna do. And so he took a great deal that made sense for him, and it made the most sense for us. So it's a great deal.
And I love something you told me off camera before we started. I asked you, I said, man, Alex, is self-storage, is that like an advanced strategy? Like, is that something we could even talk about? Or is that kind of like, I do luxury and a lot of people think, oh, that's way out of my league, when it's really not. You just need to learn a few more things. Yep. And you said no. In fact, it's almost exactly the same as regular wholesaling single family. It's just a different list. Yep. So let's talk about that. How can someone actually get into self-storage when that's like a big commercial asset and kind of seems a little overwhelming? Yeah. And you said, actually, it's just the same basic concepts, just a little different.
For sure. It's kind of like buying rental properties. And if you're looking at, switching the list and targeting people who own self-storage. And the ones we've been buying have been from mom and pop owners. So someone who most likely they've owned it obviously for a long time, or maybe even built the property themselves. And, they're happy with the cash flow they've been getting because they probably own it free and clear, like our first deal. And, it's 98% full, 100% full. They're not really trying to raise the rents. They're not really treating it like a business. It's just cash for them. And they're just taking the easy route. They don't really want to push the rents and do the automation, the things we can do to it to maximize the dollars on it. And so you're just identifying those, finding that list, reaching out to all the sellers the same way you do with, regular wholesaling, cold calling. We got all our deals from direct mail, but direct mail, SMS, you can do all those things, have them reach out to you, collect all the info, and then just see what the add value is. And so the good thing and awesome thing about self-storage is your market is actually like 3 to 5 mile radius. So like not a lot of people are going to drive 10, 15, 20 miles to the next facility. So really like every 3 to 5 miles is a new market. So you can go into your market and just really identify the other self-storage facilities in the market, call them, we like secret shop them, like see what their rates are. They don't post online, see how full they are. We'll pretend we, sold a big estate home and we need to get 10 units. How many do you have? And like, oh, we're all full. They're all full, they're all full, they're all full. Well, that's a good market because everybody's full, so there's a lot of demand and not a lot of supply. So we know we can raise rents, and there's certain things we can do to maximize the value. So it's really just finding the deal, finding the mom and pop owner, and just following up with them because it's time and circumstance of when they're going to be ready to sell, and just building a relationship with them.
So Alex, it sounds almost exactly like a tired landlord.
Yeah.
So like, absentee owner, tired landlord is one of my favorite single family type of sellers, like motivated sellers. And so it sounds like it's almost identical. It's a mom and pop type person. They're probably not reinvesting back into the facility. So it might be a little dated or maybe a little run down. They're not raising rents like they should. Yep. They're doing all the same things like a tired landlord does. They're kind of burned out. Maybe the kids don't want to work there anymore and they're tired of hiring and firing, like all the same things.
100%.
But it's just now a self-storage unit or facility, right? Yeah. So that does make it feel really similar and really simple, just like doing a tired landlord.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. There's some different things, obviously, with expenses and stuff like that you got to track. You might have payroll that you won't have it on single family, but it's literally the exact same thing. Just know your metrics of like what those expenses are. And so we ask for like, their profit and loss statement, their rent roll, so we can review, how much they're making and verify their income and their expenses, and then determine the net operating income and then make offers based on that.
That's very cool. And then, like you said, creative financing. So now you're not even coming out of pocket with a lot of money on some of these. And I love that. One thing you said that I thought was really fascinating was you said, if it's 100% occupied, that usually means they're undercharging for where the market's at. You should be more like around 90%.
Yeah, we try to target around 90% because that allows us to maximize the potential rent. So if I have you call the facilities, we do it like pretty much weekly. We track all the other facilities in the area and how, their availability. So if I'm the only one, if someone moves out of a 10 by 20 and I'm the only one in a 5-mile radius that has the last 10 by 20 in town, and they usually go for 200, we can charge 240 because we're the only one available. Yeah. So like it's called dynamic pricing, and we just look at what's available on the market. And there's softwares that we use like Store Track to track those things, so we don't have to do it manually ourselves. And then we just adjust pricing here and there, and it allows us to maximize dollars. And in the market when there's too many, maybe 5 by 10s, we lower our pricing so that way we get the customer instead of the neighbor, because we're charging less.
Very smart.
On someone where there's so much supply.
Man, it feels like such common sense and not overly complicated, but it's just something that's overlooked. I've never done self-storage. That's fascinating to me. Yeah. That's really cool. So you've started down this road, you got all your other things you're doing, and then you started to acquire another one and another one. And then this is really fascinating. I want you to share this story because you then said, okay, we got this handful of units of facilities. Yep. Let's now package this and see if we can flip it to like a big player that like maybe has hundreds of these or maybe even thousands of these. Yeah. Tell us what that process was like.
Yeah, so it was never my intention to sell.
By the way, how do these cash flow, like as a comparison?
They cash flow, so right in the beginning, like they're not cash flowing as well because we are raising private money. We're paying prefs and whatnot. And so most of the money is going to the investor. But the good thing about self-storage is like the add value is so quick. So literally that first deal we bought was a 5 cap, and 6 months later it was a 12 cap.
And what'd you add value to? Just raise prices, or did you do anything else?
We raised prices that were significantly lower. We automated the facility. They were using this big warehouse building for their other business, which is a tree business. And we rented out to an AC company, so it was immediately extra $2,000 a month there. And so with all the add value, that's when it started cash flowing. And I think for the first year, the cash flow it generated, free cash flow was like 38,000, somewhere around there. And so after that point, we just do that with every facility. So we built up 8 facilities. One's a development deal, but the other 7 are existing facilities that we did the add value to the property. And so it was never my intention to package them and sell them. I wanted to, have 5,000 doors.
Keep them for cash flow.
Refinance. And I'm in another group, mastermind for self-storage, and there's a bunch of guys who package them up and sell them. And a lot of them in like the middle of nowhere and towns in the Midwest and whatnot I've never heard of. And they're packaging them up and getting great value for them, like even a lower cap rate because of putting them together in a portfolio.
Are those 1031 buyers maybe?
A lot of times they're like institutional buyers or like, private equity.
And they're happy at a 5 cap or whatever, right? 4 cap, 5 cap,
5
6 cap.
Back then, like probably if we were a little bit earlier, probably got a 4 cap, but we came in with potentially selling our property like right as the interest rate started ticking up. So we're looking at a 5 cap for ours, but we packaged 5 of our 8 that we purchased and put it on the market and got an LOI. We just negotiated a PSA, which hopefully should be signed like today or next week, early next week, and we'll almost like double what we put into it.
So do you mind sharing like what you were into it for and what you're flipping it for? Because this is really fun.
I'll give you like rough numbers.
Yeah,
So rough numbers is like we're all in like 8 million, and like it should be like 16 million.
Guys, you catch that? 5 units, 8 million all in. Flipping, you basically a fix and flip, right? Yeah. Because you added value to it. Now you're selling it for twice that, 16. Yeah. And you're gonna flip this 5 package for $8 million. That is so cool. Guys, leave a comment and tell Alex how cool that is and how excited you are for him. Alex, you're a flipping genius, like mega flipping genius. Super cool. And what's fun though is I'm like, okay, now what? And you're like, rinse and repeat. We're gonna go back into the market because deals are gonna be coming out.
Yes.
And when you know real estate and you know structure, you're looking now the same way I am. You're looking at a market correction and you're going like this. You're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so fun. This is gonna be so exciting because I know creative, I know how to structure, and I know how to get deals. And when you know how to get deals and structure and raise money, a down market is like a heyday because you know you're gonna be buying at the bottom again and you're gonna ride it back up and do something just like that, flip it for double your money.
100%. Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
It's amazing. I got into it like right when things were just coming up, like in 2011. And so I wholesaled everything. I wholesaled so many deals in Orlando here for like 20, 30K purchase prices that are now houses that are 200, 250K.
So you're like me, you're looking in the rearview mirror going, why didn't I keep 1 out of 10?
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't know. I just started, but now I was like, been waiting for this moment. And so I have, plenty of private capital ready to go who trust in me that I can deliver and perform. And so, we're definitely eager to take advantage about what's coming.
That's so cool, guys. Man, that's awesome. I hope you guys really appreciate that and see how cool that is that you did that, Alex. I mean, that's something special to be able to do a flip like that. And I'm excited to see you now redeploy that capital into buying again and value add again and see where you can go with it. Isn't that fun? So if you're talking to somebody right now, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, Alex. A lot of people watching the channel are working on their first deal or they're trying to like go to the next level and grow their business. What would be your number one piece of advice to somebody that's working on their first deal or trying to get their business off the ground? What could you share with someone that's been transformational maybe for you?
Yeah, the two things for me that was very transformational is like education and then reinvesting into yourself with education and your deals. Yeah. Like I literally was driving a shitty car, living in not the best house, like for a long time. Yeah. I always reinvested.
Bootstrapping it.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like pushing myself to like buy more properties, buy more deals, and reinvest in marketing, reinvest in employees and people, education. Like I probably spent like $100K this year on masterminds and coaching and events. Yeah. And I did that back in the day when I was putting it on a credit card. Like,
because you saw the value in
super value
mentorship and the right connections. I mean, you said the reason why you packaged and flipped this deal for an $8 million flip was because you learned that at a mastermind. You probably talked to the right people about how to package it. Yep. And you would not have probably done that had you not learned that from your mastermind, right?
To me, I was like, I don't want to do just, because to me it was like a big flip. I'm like, I didn't buy self-storage just to do big flips. Like I make good money on the wholesale business. I want to keep these things. But then they're like, you have to look at your return on equity. You have so much equity in there trapped and you're making 30K a year split between partners, 30, 40K a year split between partners when you have like $1.5 million sitting there trapped. Like what's the ROI on that? Yeah. Very low. He's like, you need to get rid of these, sell them,
especially if you're a deal maker and you're good at structure, because that cash flow those things are making is fine and it's fantastic. And if you want to just be passive, great. But you got energy, you got passion, and you're willing to do the work. So because you know how to find and structure deals, you'd rather pull that equity out in the form of profit from flipping it and go re-maximize those profits into even more. Yep. And I have a feeling like if we have a conversation in 18 months from now or whatever, you're going to say, yeah, that 8 million, we turn that into 20 million or 30 million or whatever. Yeah. And it's because, again, you know how to find deals and structure deals. That is the most number one skill I think people can learn. If you can learn how to find and put deals together, creative and otherwise, there's no end to what you can do in real estate, right?
100%.
That's so cool. So I love you said that. You guys, Alex has a YouTube channel. He's been putting out some really amazing content. We'll put the link below. Cool. And guys, go subscribe to Alex. Follow him on social. He's really sharing a lot. Thank you for doing that. I think it's amazing when you have this great success and you're willing to share that with others. I think it comes back full circle. It has for me.
Likewise,
and you're seeing that too, so that's amazing. And again, thank you guys for watching this video. Keep crushing it, Alex, and we'll see you on the next video.